Welcome to this week's Meta Phy. Good morning, everybody. How are we doing this morning? It's Thursday. We're almost done. We're almost done, right? You know, those are my favorite glasses. I wish I could get lenses for them because I would absolutely wear them all the time. So how are you this morning? I'm doing great. Got a lot of tabs open on my desktop. Some witchy news. A new country to talk about. Not the usual Africa or Nigeria. But we're going to talk about something going on in India. So that's fun. And then at the end of the podcast, we're going to talk about a little bit of witchy self-care. This time of year is pretty rough, pretty stressful. So we don't want to forget about ourselves while we're doing for everyone else. Okay? So we're going to talk about that at the end. Anyway, let's get to it. Words. This comes out of, what article? Pathos.com. And don't forget, the links are always going to be in the description of the podcast. Pagan words misused and misunderstood. We see this in TikTok all the time. The most common misconception that we hear is, you're a witch, so you're wicked. And this is only the beginning. This is how they relate the two. Words such as witch, warlock, heathen, spells, rituals, and even, yes, pagan and Wicca have different meanings than what we're taught. First off, we're going to talk about the word warlock. Men practicing witchcraft are not warlocks. I said it. I said it right here, okay? They're witches. Just like women. In fact, the English version of a Scottish word, warlock, means oath breaker. And this is something few pagans would want to be associated with or called. Now, even though it is true that Wiccans are pagan, it's not necessarily true in the reverse, okay? Paganism is a tree with a whole lot of branches. We have Wicca, Druidism, Norse, Kermetic, Slavic, Strega, or just plain witchcraft, traditional witchcraft. It's really comparable, and I've said this many times before, to the Christianity tree. You have Catholics, Episcopalians, Methodists, and the list goes on like 3,900 times. Just in the United States. It's not including other countries. And when you go into explaining this to muggles, it's hard for them to relate and understand. It doesn't make sense to them. Even the word pagan itself is misunderstood. The word pagan originally referred to a non-citizen or country folk of Rome. So if you did not live within the city limits of Rome, you were considered a pagan. The Associated Press and the Chicago Manual of Style still insist on making pagan lowercase. These are the standards by which journalists and most colleagues work in. They would never do that with the words Christianity and Judaism. In 2013, there was a petition to correct this, but it didn't get very far. And as of 2022, the 55th edition of the AP Style book, the only religious reference we have is Wiccan and Wicca. It states Wicca is a religion shaped by pagan beliefs. Not only is that misspelled with a lowercase p, but they seem to be mixing up Wicca with paganism. The term encompasses a wide range of traditions generally organized around seasonal festivals and can include ritual magic. While this is true, that path just seems to me that they're defining paganism. Another highly misconceived word is the word ritual. People refuse to call things ritual. They put way too much woo-woo into the meaning of the word, because rituals are just something that you do on a regular basis. Brushing your teeth every night before you go to bed is a ritual, okay? Checking your mirrors before you start the car is a ritual. And granted, these are minor rituals. The worship service every Sunday at the Nazarene Church over here on the corner is a ritual, okay? Just like the various holidays, Memorial Day, Labor Day, 4th of July, all rituals, graduations, weddings, birthdays, memorial services, funerals, they're all rituals. And you know what? There's nothing scary about calling these things rituals. You gather with people, usually around a table. Sometimes there's a fire. Sometimes you say certain words, like, if you're at church. If you're pagan, you may call the quarters or the elements. But there's nothing wrong with calling it a ritual. Now, although most of these things are perfectly harmless, they do sometimes elicit reactions, and the wrong reactions at that. And even though they're usually no big deal, I think it's important that we do correct people when we hear them. And I don't know about you, but from now on, I'm going to make sure I spell pagan with a capital P. All right. Children accused of witchcraft find solace in East Congo shelter. The Bukavu Democratic Republic of Congo, after Ornella lost several family members within 3 years, relatives and neighbors in her East Congo village of Kabare began suspecting the 14-year-old girl of witchcraft. The hushed rumors and purifying rituals that ensued prompted one of Ornella's brothers to take her to the police, turned her in. He was concerned about the consequences that the allegations could have on his sibling. It's not uncommon in some African countries for frail children like Ornella, who suffer from a genetic form of anemia, to be considered a bad omen and blamed for the mishaps that befall isolated and impoverished communities. Hundreds, thousands of children across the continent are accused of witchcraft each year. According to a 2022 report by the African Child Policy Forum, they almost always end up being shunned and forced out of their homes and are physically assaulted and sometimes even killed. The Ikabana shelters about 60 children in the same situation. Well, at least they have a place to go. Their case is assessed in a juvenile court that then hands them over to the center, which opened in January of 2022 through funding from Caritas, a Catholic church relief organization. And I find that interesting. I've always said the Catholics were the first Christian witches. I mean, here's the thing, and this is kind of off subject. Here's the thing. You don't just claim Catholicism, Christendom, and the next day everyone follows suit and no longer practices magic. It just doesn't happen that way. We have proof of this. Where do we have proof of this? How many popes have grimoires? Exactly. A whole lot. I have 2 or 3 digital copies in my possession. The fact of the matter is, they changed it. They changed it. They practiced in the closets. Only the kings and the higher-ups were allowed to have healers, scientists, or priests on the payroll. Anyway, off subject. Connecticut Connecticut. After they were convicted, Connecticut formally pardons men and women charged with witchcraft. Hundreds of years after a group of men and women were tried and convicted of witchcraft, Connecticut lawmakers have formally exonerated them for their crimes. The Senate approved the resolution. Who introduced the bill? According to a news release from Senator Saud Anwar, who introduced the bill, the resolution passed with a 33-1-2 vote. Excellent. We cannot go back in time and prevent the banishment, tarnishing, or execution of the innocent women and men who were accused of witchcraft, but we can acknowledge the wronghoods they faced and the pain they felt. Pain still recognized by their survivors today. So that's great. That's great. See, the Hartford witch panic led to 34 charged with witchcraft during the 17th century. Alcee Young, a resident of Windsor, Connecticut, was the first person executed for witchcraft in America. The judiciary documents showed she was hanged at the gallows in Hartford in May of 1647. The judiciary noted the panic over witchcraft in Hartford was smaller than the ones in Salem, Massachusetts, but it started 4 decades earlier. The last witchcraft trial in the state happened in 1697. That's 50 years, 1647 to 1697, and resulted in the charges against Willingford residents Winifred Benham and her teen daughter being dismissed. Witchcraft continued to be listed as a capital crime until 1750. Craziness. Connecticut Witch Trial Exoneration Project, a group of advocates and ancestors of those convicted, said in a statement a total of 34 victims were indicted on witchcraft charges in Connecticut during the 1600s. 11 of them were hanged. Crazy, crazy, crazy. But wonderful. Good for them. Good for the families. I know, things like this kind of mean a little. Sometimes we think, wow. But here's the thing, I look at me, even for instance, doing this podcast. Okay, I'm not worried about being hung. Okay, so how far have we come? We need to appreciate this as modern day witches, modern day pagans. We need to appreciate our freedom a lot more than we do. All right, India's witch hunt kills 1,500 in 11 years. WTF? What the heck? In India, an age-old practice of witch hunting continues. More than 1,500 people, primarily women, shocking, were killed between 2010 and 2021 after accusations of practicing witchcraft. That is just bananas.
Jangan kan cakap kok tinya, ini salah nyeruak ngat pepung din jam banut tinya, tar tatka ke sana utar lain jo banyak लड़ाई करना कपारी करना सकाल lain sana kan.
और डायन प्रथा प्रथा के पीछे अधिकांश समय महिलाओं को डराना, खासकर विधवा महिलाओं को, एजेड महिलाओं को, जमीन हड़पने का प्रवृत्ति, किसी को डराने का प्रवृत्ति, और ये जो ट्राइबल चिफ्टेन है ये एक अपना दबदबा दिखाना चाहता है।
Wow, crazy, crazy, crazy. All right, Seychelles opposition leader Patrick Hermini has been charged with witchcraft. The main opposition leader in Seychelles, Patrick Hermini, has been charged with witchcraft along with 7 others. Police say cases related to discovery of 2 bodies exhumed from a cemetery on the island of Mahe. I believe this is out of Africa. He's denied the charges, telling local media that his prosecution is a political show. Mr. Hermione plans to run in 2025 presidential election under the banner of United Seychelles Party. Interesting. I mean, here we are. I mean, this is October. This is October 23. Here we are. So, imagine, as messed up as politics is in this country, imagine if all of a sudden they started calling people out for being witches or something. Like, don't vote for Trump, because he's a witch. I mean, for real. Imagine. That's how seriously these other countries take the practice of witchcraft. It's no joke. It really is no joke. The magistrate's court on Monday, though, freed him and 6 of his Seychellois co-accused on bail. 30,000 Seychelles rupees, which is about $2,100. He ruled that Tanzanian suspects should stay in custody until the next court appearance. So this is out of Tanzania. Hey, let me take a second for a shameful plug. It's pretty rough this time of year, and even though we are very free in this country, there are a few of you that do face oppression. We'll call it oppression. I wouldn't call it prosecuted, but I know I'm free. Where I live in my area, even though it is a Christian, it is a Bible belt that I live in. I live in a town of less than 400 people, and we have 3 active churches running in this town, in this village. I think we are actually designated a village as with the state of Missouri, but I'm free. I had a very high-profile position with the county and practiced as a witch openly. Okay. And I mean that by, I mean that in that whenever the subject were to come up, I didn't hide anything, okay? My boss knew about my spirituality and my beliefs and that kind of thing. But I know that there are some of you, especially those that live in the South, that are not so free. Even though you're not going to get hung, you have a lot of people giving you a lot of lip service on the subject. And of that, I apologize. And my only advice for that would be true to yourself. And what I did here that I think made a huge difference is I only showed positivity. I only showed love. I showed creativity. I showed all the good things. Always made sure that I showed all of the good things there are to being a witch. Okay, when even when I first got on TikTok 3 years ago, I made a video about I'm here to show people that witches are not all black candles and hexes. Okay, we're not. We're normal people. We care about other people. Okay, just like anybody else. But one thing we have a hard time doing is caring about ourselves. Okay? Now, this time of year, it's pretty stressful. It's pretty stressful. Not that we take care of ourselves throughout the year anyway. We don't. This time of year, it's kind of even worse. We've got so many pressures. Money is a thing. It's just, the list goes on, and we forget. Okay? And we forget to take care of ourselves. Self-care and witchcraft extends beyond the physical. Okay? We need to nurture our souls. And I talked about rituals earlier in the podcast. Rituals play a huge part in the self-care of a witch. Okay? Things like meditating, grounding, connecting with nature. Maybe you do acts of sacred sacrament if you are a Wiccan or any of the other religions. But just self-love and mindfulness is all important right now. Maybe it's a great way to practice things as simple as candle magic. If you take a birthday candle burns for 15 minutes. Okay? It burns for 15 minutes. And it comes in all the colors. And it can be dressed like any other candle. It can be written on like any other candle. And you could burn that candle and dress it in herbs and oils that are conducive, that carry the energy of love, acceptance, peace. Okay? And just sit for 15 minutes in mindful meditation. And maybe say affirmations to yourself. Think of the good things that you have done. Okay? Think of the good things that you have done today. I got the dishes done today. Or, I made my bed today. I got dressed today. Whatever it is, doesn't matter what it is. Another crucial aspect is the promotion of spiritual well-being. Witchcraft encourages individuals to tap into their spiritual essence, fostering a sense of balance and alignment with the universe. Engaging in moon rituals, celebrating the wheel of the year, or communing with your spirits or deities are ways through which witches nurture their spiritual selves. It's about forging a connection with energy beyond the physical realm, finding solace and strength in these ethereal bonds. So maybe you're a follower of Hecate, or you are a follower of Lilith. Okay, it doesn't matter. Odin, it doesn't matter. When you're doing your meditation with your 15-minute candle, call on these spirits. Call on these spirits. Call on these guys. Burn some incense that speaks to them, that's conducive to their presence, to invoking them. Okay? Make this a little ritual. And this is a little 15, 20-minute block of time that you're going to take for yourself out of a, 16-hour day? 12-hour day, 16-hour day, depending on, how you spend your day. Aren't you worth 20 minutes? The emphasis on self-love within witchcraft is transformative. By acknowledging and embracing oneself fully, flaws and all, witches embark on a journey of acceptance and empowerment. It's about embracing the shadows and the light within, cultivating a deep sense of love and compassion for oneself. Another thing that you can do is if you have a rosary, and I haven't counted the beads, so I don't know if this is a true rosary, to be honest, but a rosary has 56 beads on it, I believe. And mala beads, or prayer beads, have 108 beads, okay? Another 15 minute meditation that you can do is japa. J-A-P-A. Japa meditate. Now, all japa meditation is you start at the beginning. If it's prayer beads, you start at this is called the guru bead. And if you're using your rosary, start at the cross, okay? Okay. And you go to that first bead. And I always take a deep cleansing breath, okay? And then you go to the next bead. Now, if anxiety is an issue for you, try box breathing. So that means when you go to the next bead, you're going to breathe in for 3 or 4. Breathe in for 3 or 4. Find your comfort level. Hold it for 3. Release for 3. Hold for 3. Breathe in for 3. So you're going to make a box. It's called box breathing. So we're going to go in for 3, hold for 3, release for 3, hold for 3. Okay? Here we go. Then we would hold for 3 and cycle through again. That's a really good way to help you with your anxiety while you're doing your japa meditation. Now, if you don't have prayer beads and you are using your rosary, just go around twice. There's 108 beads on prayer beads. And here is the premise to japa meditation. Science has found that we take about 15 breaths a minute. And I believe this comes up to about 22,000 breaths a day. Okay? So out of the 22,000 breaths a day, can't you just sit still and breathe for 108 of them? I think you deserve that. It's 15 minutes out of your day. 15 minutes. You deserve 15 minutes. Thanks for joining me for Meta Phy this week. Please hit the thumbs up, like, and subscribe if you haven't already. A comment below about a question or something you want me to cover in a future podcast. If you're interested in being a co-host on one of the podcasts, please say something below. I'll get in touch with you. Always looking for people to have fun with. Anyway, have a great week. I'll see you next week. And don't forget to take that 15 minutes. You go kick some ass today. Love ya.